Welcome to season 3, episode 1 of Anything Goes: A Journey Home with Andrew Geist. I am your host, Andrew Geist, and I'm just so glad to be here with you. I don't think I had a vision that I would be in 3 seasons already. Um, for some of you who follow the podcast regularly, you know that I'm doing something a little bit different, and the podcast episodes are not that long, and the seasons are pretty short. And part of that is due to my season of life that I'm in. I got 2 kids. I've been married for 10 years, and I got a full time job. And so this right now is kind of a part time gig, and so I have very set amount of time that I've given myself to actually do this, and I'm actually curious to see how I'm able to do this going forward now that I've added this whole new dimension of production. So let's get into today's episode. And welcome back, everybody. My name is Andrew Geist, and I am the host of this podcast. And I'm just so glad to be here with you today. One of the interesting things about this podcast, and I've said this a couple of times over the course of the podcast, but I haven't actually said it in a while. And so I want to remind you what this podcast is about. This podcast is about my journey of life that I am on, and I want to share my life with you, the audience members. I'm a worship pastor full time at a church in Katy, Texas. I am a husband of almost 11 years. I have a son who is 3, soon to be 4. I have a daughter who just turned 1. And I want to share with you how I do life, how I have now lost almost 15 pounds and so many other things in my life, and hopefully leave you encouraged and hopefully give you an idea that this is possible for you to be creative and still be all of these things, to be expressive or to do things beyond what you thought were possible. And I am hoping in the near future to share things with you that are going to be helpful to you, that are going to be tools that you can access and have from me through my websites in the future as well. And so I hope that you will join me on this journey. So, again, my name is Andrew, and I'm just really grateful to be here for season 3, episode 1. Man, what a journey. I mean, honestly, um, I don't even care how many people are listening. I'm just grateful to be doing this and have people who do listen on a regular basis. So, again, a little bit about me and a bit of a background slash reminder of what it is I'm doing with this podcast. So, about 6 years ago, I felt like um, God was compelling me to share my story, my journey, the things that I've been through as a worship pastor. But I just didn't know how to share that with people. And initially, I started a website, aguysproduction.com. And I thought, oh, I'll blog here and I'll do all this stuff here. And I realized, man, that was super time consuming. And I am terrible at writing. I wish I was great at it, but I'm not. I like it and I'm getting back into it from a creative standpoint. But um, doing the daily blog posting was not really my cup of tea, or not my speed, I should say. And I decided that I would try a different avenue. So I thought, oh, I'll get into recording music and I'll start doing that really a lot more. And I realized, again, really time consuming. And we had our first child, Frederick, who is 3, soon to be 4. And I just started to run out of time, and I started working at a church in California, and I was super grateful to be there and be working full time. I was um, a choir director. I was a worship pastor, and then eventually I oversaw all of worship at that church, and then eventually was forced to move on from that position unexpectedly. But God had a plan, and He saw me through it, and He brought me to a wonderful place here in Katy, Texas, called Current Christian Church. And during that whole process, I also felt God was really trying to get a hold of me about my body, my weight, and how I was taking care of my physical temple. And I started a weight loss journey about the beginning of this year, and I'm already down 15 pounds. I'm super grateful to God and to my wonderful coach, who I'll talk about in a moment. But as I got into this podcasting thing, I began to realize that there are a lot of podcasts out there. If you didn't know that, in fact, you know, out of all the podcasts in the world, you choosing to listen to this one, to me, is pretty incredible, given how many podcasts there are in the market right now. It is absolutely mind blowing. And so the fact that you, the audience, would listen, I just want to take a moment and say thank you. It is not lost on me the fact that you are actually listening. You're actually watching this if you're watching it on YouTube. Um, and I am truly grateful for that, because this is just a small effort on my part to do something that is a creative outlet for me that possibly has the potential to support me and my family financially as well in the future. And I'm grateful that you are willing to be a part of that. There are ways that you can partner with me, and I hope that you will look into those. Some of them are on my podcast right now, some of them are on my website and on the links in the show notes, as well as in the show notes below. You can find ways to partner with me or be a part of this podcast. And I would love to talk to you about that in the future. Nevertheless, as I got into this journey, COVID happened, and it was 2021, 2022. It's a crazy year for everybody. And I still can't believe that I made it out the other end, because I had to reinvent what I was doing as a worship pastor. Could no longer do the choir thing because choirs were out and were not a thing that you could do during COVID. And then on top of that, we had to elevate our production to a whole new level with film and television type level producing and things like that. And a lot of churches failed to keep up. And now, post COVID, are starting to realize, man, do we even really want this much exposure to our church? Um, and the ins and outs of how to maintain that online presence and the work that goes into it. It's quite high demand for that. And all while that was going on, um, there was this little podcast called "Anything Goes: A Journey Home," and actually, I think originally I had called it "Car Seat Confessions" with Andrew Geist, and I thought I was being cutting edge and edgy, and I realized, man, you can't even really find my podcast with that kind of a name, and it was getting lumped in with podcasts that didn't really fit with what I was trying to do, which was trying to be a podcast of encouragement. That is what I want my podcast to be about. I want somebody out there listening to feel like they are not alone, to realize that they are, in fact, like me. They are going through life. They are on a journey, and the journey is short, folks. We don't know how long we have on this earth, and our goal should be to leave this place better than we found it. And my hope is that this podcast can serve as that. And it serves on multiple levels. Number one, my kids are going to get to hopefully watch and see me on the internet for the rest of their lives, and how their father tried to figure this whole life thing out. And then at the same time, tried to be a dad and tried to be a husband, as well as a Christ follower, because that is what I am. And so, hopefully, anybody out there who's watching, there's no judgment from this side of the microphone, who you are and what kind of journey you're on. I hope that you hear what I have to say. I'm going to share the gospel with you every now and then. I'm going to also share words of encouragement from the Word of God. And I'm going to just share some of the personal tools that I have done, the things that I've gone through, the mental hurdles that I've been through, the things that I've had to work out, and I'm still working out for myself on this journey. And hopefully you'll feel encouraged. Hopefully you'll feel equipped. Hopefully you'll feel like, if he can do it, man, I can definitely do this. Because the truth is, I'm nobody in the grand scheme of things. I'm just a dude with a podcast, a dude with a pretty decent microphone who felt like God wanted him to do this and share his life with people and be an encouragement to others who would listen. So, having said all of that, a couple of things I want to share with you as we go forward. Number one is my hope is that you will start seeing practical, accessible tools from me, things like workouts that I'm doing for my weight loss journey. You'll see connections to my actual coach, who I work with, who I will talk about in future episodes in the program that he has had me on since the beginning of this year or thereabouts. And I also want to share with you guys some practical worship leading tools that I have created and facilitated over the course of my career that hopefully you will find helpful, especially um, post COVID and dealing with this whole production um, leveling up that we've had to go through as churches to make ourselves more accessible to the online community because people are still crazy as it is and crazy as it may seem, still uneasy about coming back to church and still have reservations about coming back to church. Even to this day, at the church that I'm currently at, people are still telling me how amazed they are that um, they haven't seen these people in 4 years, and now they're finally coming back to church, and it's truly an amazing and honestly pioneering time in our churches because it's been quite some time since we've had to experience something like this. You'll hear me pray on this podcast. You'll hear me pray for you. If you ever see a poll on my podcast, don't ever hesitate to put a prayer request if you want to, because I love to pray. I found that it is a discipline in my life that I desperately want to get better at. And so, people in my weight loss community and people in my church know this about me. And I hope that over time you will learn this about me as well. I'm not about gossip. I'm not about sharing anything that is inappropriate or anything that is out of context in my life. You will only ever hear about my personal experience, my personal journey, both as a Christian, as a worship pastor, as a dad, and as a husband. But you'll never hear about um, you know, the other side of the coin, as it were. I do plan to keep this podcast at a minimum to 15 to 30 minutes. I've seen podcasts, again, all over this internet thing. And wow, that really aged me when I said that. I tend to word vomit. I tend to say things and I don't know if they completely sound that great. And so um, this this is me, folks. I'm not perfect, but I'm certainly trying to get better at this. So, especially this journey called life and the journey of being a Christian and loving God with all of your heart, mind, soul, and strength. I just want to remind you guys that this podcast is for you. I hope that you'll engage with it. I hope you'll comment. I hope you'll share. I hope you'll share anything that I've shared that is an encouragement. Um, Again, I just want to be a voice of positivity in this world, and want to be a voice of encouragement to those who need it. And so they don't feel alone in this world. Because I've known far too many people in my life who have felt alone, felt disconnected. And it's become even more abundantly clear that post COVID, we'd like to believe we're a very connected society through things like the internet, but also we are very disconnected and we carry with us a lot of hurt and we carry with us a lot of pain, and we lack people and voices in our lives that are encouraging us and sharing their lives with us and helping us to feel like we can in fact do this. So I hope that this podcast will exist for you to experience that. So I want you to do something for me. Here's what I want you to do. If you are not already following this podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please subscribe. Please hit that bell. Get notified every time I am on this journey called life, specifically through this podcast and sharing what's going on. As I said on my podcast, a journeyhome.blog, aguysproduction.com, you can connect to me there, but I'm also hoping to have in the very near future things on my website that are accessible to you that you can purchase and that are free for you to be able to download and use for your own benefit, whether you're a worship pastor, whether you're just trying to get healthier or you just need encouragement. My hope is that I will be able to share those things with you in the very near future, and that is how you will find them. So go to aguysproduction.com or a journeyhome.blog and subscribe to either of those websites so you get notified when I am on a journey home. Hey everyone, I just want to remind you that you can like, share, and subscribe this podcast through Spotify. You can also click the bell if you're watching on YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel, follow, so you'll get notified every time I take a journey home. Also, if you're wondering, this hat is made by some great people at artofhomage.com. Go check them out if you haven't already. You can buy their hats, they're amazing. I have quite a few of them. You can also find me at Current Christian Church in Katy, Texas. If you ever want to come and visit our church here in Katy, Texas, I want to invite you to do that. Last but not least, again, thank you so much for listening. I hope that y'all have a great and wonderful day today, and y'all have a blessed day. Be a blessing to those who need it. Be an encouragement to those who need it. I will see you all next time.